Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of True Crime Tuesdays. I'm your host, Jazmine Tanaya. Welcome back. If this is your first time tuning in to True Crime Tuesdays, basically what we do on Tuesdays is we discuss and dissect a popular true crime case. We give our input, our 2 cents. We really dig into the facts of the case and figure out what happened and why it led there. So if you are interested in that type of content, make sure you subscribe. And I also have some other content on my channel as well, criminal justice content, as well as some lifestyle videos here and there. But these True Crime Tuesday videos are posted every Tuesday, hence the name. So in today's True Crime Tuesday, we will be discussing and dissecting the popular case, but also a tragic one, of Trayvon Martin. So Trayvon Martin case is really popular. It really stuck with me because me and him were around the same age at the time of his murder. We're just gonna call it what it is because it was definitely a murder. Some people just need to learn to mind their business, but we're gonna get into that. But anyways, we were around the same age during the time that he was murdered, and I followed his trial, not even just the trial, but I followed the whole case from beginning to the trial to just everything. I was following it because it's just such a tragic story. It's a case of you need to mind your business. We're just gonna talk about it. Anyways, yeah, we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk about it. His case really stuck with me, and not a lot of cases do that. I don't really put my feelings in it or get too involved into cases like this, but into cases in general, but this one really stuck with me. Trayvon Martin was born on February 5th of 1985 in Miami, Florida. He was born to parents Tracy Martin and Sabrina Fulton. They were married up until a little bit after Trayvon was born. They got divorced in 1999. His mom was, I don't know if she still is, but she was a program coordinator for the Miami-Dade Housing Authority, and his dad was a truck driver. They both did live near each other in the Miami Gardens area. Trayvon also did have an older brother. His name was Jarvis Fulton, and that was his brother from his maternal side. So they shared the same mom but not the same dad. But during this time, around the time that he was shot, his brother was a college student, so he was off in college. After Trayvon's parents divorced, his father did end up remarrying to another woman. Her name was Alicia Stanley. She had two other daughters from a previous marriage, and when Tracy and Alicia met, Trayvon was just 3 years old. And Tracy and Alicia, they did end up staying together for about 14 years. Alicia did tell multiple news outlets that during the time that her and Tracy were together, that Trayvon was with her 90% of the time. So I don't really know what that was about, if he just favored staying with his stepmom and dad more than his mom. I didn't really get into it because it was just irrelevant, but he was with them 90% of the time. She said that she would take Trayvon to football games and take care of him when he was sick, and that he was just a loving kid and he wasn't a thug like the media tried to portray him to be. And also, another fun fact about Trayvon, when he was 9 years old, he actually pulled his father from a fire and he saved his life. His father ultimately did get burnt on his legs from the fire as well, but Trayvon ended up pulling him out and saved his life. They said that Trayvon was a typical teenager. He liked video games. He enjoyed video games, sports, and to earn money, he washed cars, he babysat, and he cut grass. And it was also noted that he played football at the park since he was 5 years old. So he really loved football. That was one of his dreams. But he kind of put the dreams of being a football player aside to go into on something he enjoyed more, which was repairing planes and flying planes. He wanted to do that. When he got into high school, he kind of put the dreams of the football aside to do something that he enjoyed a little bit more. It was also mentioned by his former football coach that he was one of the best players on the team. The name of the football team was called the Wolverines, and they played in that same park Trayvon's been playing in since he was 5. The name of the park was Forzano Park. It was in Miramar, Florida. Also volunteer in that same park at the concession stands, and he would sometimes stay later to help out around 8 or 9 o'clock to just help with the concession stand and things like that. Now, it was also noted by a lot of people that Trayvon was really shy and often to himself majority of the times. They stated that he would always have on headphones in his hood. Keep that in mind. And he would just be listening to his music with his headphones and have his hood on. Even one of his family members stated that it could be 100 degrees outside and Trayvon would have a hood on, or a sweater with a hood on. He was so fascinated with building and flying planes. He even enrolled himself into an experienced aviation program. The program was about 7 weeks long. It was in Opa-locka Opa-locka, Florida. Y'all got some names on y'all. And it was ran by the award-winning aviator Barrington Irving. After he had graduated from the program, Trayvon spent the next summer helping out the newcomers that was coming into the program. So he loves to volunteer. So during high school, Trayvon did morning classes at his high school, which was called Carroll City, which is also in Florida. And then after classes, he went to George T. Baker Aviation School to continue his dream of becoming a pilot or fixing planes. Now, his teachers at his school all said that he was like a normal teen. He passed all his classes, no red flag. They also stated that his favorite subject in school was math. So after Trayvon's sophomore year in high school, for his junior year, he was actually transferred to a different school. His mother actually did the transferring to a different school. He went to another school. It had a little bit more students in the one that he was in. She transferred him because she wanted him to have a better future, and she thought that the new school had a better program than the one that he was at. She did report that he was just an average student at the school, but it was reported that he had some behavioral issues. I don't know if it was because of the change of environment or what have you, but he did have some behavior issues. Even at the time of the shooting, even at the time of his death, like around that time, he actually was on a 10-day suspension due to police finding a marijuana pipe on him and some marijuana residue in a bag on him. He was also suspended twice for attendance issue and like being late. And then also one day he was observed in like a restricted area of the school, and the police kind of like went over to figure out what he was doing. Trayvon had already left, but they observed him kind of like graffitiing the school. He graffitied and put the letters WTF, which we all know what that stands for. So the next day when he had came to school, they went to search his backpack to, you know, find the evidence, like the marker that he was using to graffiti, and they found the marker as well as some other things. They found dozens of pieces of women's jewelry, a screwdriver, a watch, and the school officer described the screwdriver as a burglary tool. So he had all that in his backpack when they went to searching. But when he was asked about the jewelry, he said that a friend had gave it to him. They sent over all of that to the Miami-Dade Police Department to do some more investigations to make sure that it wasn't stolen or anything like that. It came back that it was not stolen. Trayvon, he was not charged in anything, and his parents stated that they didn't know anything about the jewelry. So yeah, basically nothing came from that. It was just he had it in his backpack. Nobody knew where it came from but Trayvon. All right, so let's get on to the actual shooting, the devastating part. Okay, so basically what led up to it was Trayvon and his dad Tracy had went out to a different town, city. It was called Twin Lake. Tracy's fiance lived there with her children. He remarried and had a new fiance. Her name was Brandy. She was the one that lived in Twin Lake, and he would take Trayvon out there from time to time to kind of just disconnect and get his priorities straight. But ever since after the whole thing happened with the jewelry and everything, he decided that he wanted to take him out there again to get his priorities straight. On the night of February 26th of 2012, his dad and his fiance Brandy had went out to dinner. Both Trayvon and Brandy's son, because she had a son, they were home and they were just like playing the game, whatever. Trayvon decides that he wanted to go to the store to get him some Skittles and an Arizona drink. So as he, you know, he went to the store, he got everything he wanted, whatever, everything was fine, cool. So as he was walking back home, well, not home, but back to the fiance's, Tracy's fiance's, let's just say Brandy. As he was walking back to his soon-to-be stepmom's home in Twin Lake, That's when he was spotted by neighborhood watch George Zimmerman. So George ended up calling the police, and he basically was saying that he is looking out his window, he's a neighborhood watch, and he notices that there's somebody outside walking around with a hood on, and they look suspicious. This is what he said when he called the police, and I quote, "There have been a bunch of burglaries in the neighborhood. I am observing a real suspicious guy who is just walking around looking about." He also described Trayvon as someone that looks up to no good, or that he's on drugs or something. So my point is, he had a problem before there was even a problem, when there wasn't even a problem. He wanted trouble that night, not Trayvon. There is audio of the actual 911 call. I'm not gonna play it here because no, but you can literally Google it and it'll come up. But yeah, basically he's just saying like, oh, he looks suspicious, he doesn't think that he should be on this side of the town or whatever, and that he's gonna go out and basically handle it on his own. The 911 dispatcher basically tells him, no, don't go out there, stay inside. We'll send a unit to come and check it out and question him and figure out what's going on. Zimmerman was not taking that for an answer, and he still decided to go outside and approach Trayvon. No one truly knows what the conversation was like when he approached Trayvon to figure out, you know, who he was and what he was doing over on that side of town. George is saying that he ended up shooting him in self-defense, which I don't know, no one was there, but no. Yeah, no one knows the conversation, but he did say that Trayvon got really aggressive and that he feared for his life, and you know, the whole nine. Let's just paint the picture. You're minding your business. You're 17, right? You got your hood on, you chilling, you're going to the store, getting you a snack, going back home so you can finish playing video games with your stepbrother, right? All of a sudden this white man is coming up from behind you, probably antagonizing you. I don't know exactly what the words were said. I don't know exactly what was said between Trayvon and Zimmerman, but I'm sure it wasn't nothing nice. So Trayvon was probably like, yo, leave me alone. Who knows? But he probably was like, leave me alone. Zimmerman kept antagonizing him, because we know that from the police call. We know that from what he told dispatchers. Even the dispatcher told him, don't follow him, and he still ended up following him. Who has the problem here? Like, let's be for real. You have a problem. Why are you following him? If the police is telling you not to do it and you still decide to do it, whatever happens to you is what happens to you. You could have just left it in the police hands and stopped trying to be law enforcement. He ends up following him after he's instructed not to. I mean, at this point now, me, let's just say me, I'm Trayvon, right? I'm gonna feel threatened. So what am I gonna do? I'm gonna defend myself. So that's probably what ended up happening. He probably felt threatened. Like, why are you still following me? Like, why are you following me? I'm not doing anything. Now let's just say this. What if he was going to rob a house and he had a weapon on him? If he got to his weapon first, it would have been the other way around. He would have been dead. George would have been dead. Because it's like, I'm trying to protect myself. You're following me. You're antagonizing me. I'm not even doing anything wrong. I'm unarmed. I'm gonna keep saying that. I'm unarmed. And you're still deciding to follow me because I look suspicious. No, it's because I'm black and I have a hood on and you're scared. And you're using this neighborhood watch as a token or a ticket in your back pocket to shoot somebody and get away with it. And then also on top of that, Florida has a stand your ground law. So if you shoot somebody and you claim self-defense, you can get off. That's basically what he's thinking. So yeah, so like I said, Trayvon probably felt threatened, and he turned around and gave him one good one, and then it went from there. Trayvon was getting the best of Zimmerman, so he had to shoot him. So they ended up getting into a scuffle. Zimmerman said Trayvon hit him first and he acted in self-defense. We don't know that. We weren't there, so can't say it. Basically, he said Trayvon ended up on top of him during the scuffle, and that's when he shot him. He said that he said he didn't think that he hit him, because Trayvon sat up and basically said, "Oh my God, you got me," basically saying like, "You shot me." Shot him. Of course, Trayvon was bleeding out. He shot him in the chest, unfortunately. The bullet entered into his left breastbone, entered the right lower chamber of his heart, which ultimately led to him dying. Trayvon was 17 at the time of his death, and then Trayvon ended up dead for no reason, because you don't know how to mind your business. If law enforcement is telling you to mind your business, mind your business. It's not that deep. If he did end up robbing a house and it wasn't yours, let the law handle it. If you want to be a police officer so bad, go apply and be one. Initially, Zimmerman, he didn't get arrested or charged or anything with his death because he was licensed to carry, and Florida has a stand your ground law. You can look up the law. We're not even going to get into that on this video. That's another topic for another day. Basically, they have a stand your ground law, and he basically was let go the night of the murder. Like, the cops didn't arrest him. Of course they questioned him, but they didn't arrest him or do anything like that. But after that happened and it hit the media, basically there were so many protests, so many, like, just outrage, so many protests, so many call to action, so many petitions done for him to be arrested due to Trayvon Martin's death, which then he was, because of all the outrage and, you know, things like that. He was taken into custody and he was charged with second-degree murder. He was not charged until 44 days after the shooting occurred. He was charged on April the 11th of 2012. He was in jail just for a few days. He posted a cash bond of $15,000. So his trial, well, not really the trial, but just the overall whole process, it lasted a little bit less than 2 years, so about 16 or 17 months. He was charged on April the 11th of 2012, and on July 13th of 2013 he was acquitted from all charges. I remember being glued to the TV whenever this trial happened, because like I said, this case really stuck with me. It really was a big impact on me, because like I mentioned, we were around the same age when he died. I'm only 2 years older than Trayvon, so it really, I don't know, it just did something to me. And then, like, to see his parents on TV, and you know, I couldn't imagine. Like, he could have been my brother, so that's why I think it stuck to me so much, this trial. Basically, during the trial, you know, they went over just all the facts of the case. They got statements from George and his lawyers. You know how trial goes. After about 16 hours of deliberation, George Zimmerman was acquitted of both charges, the second-degree murder charge and the manslaughter charges. Acquitted by a 6-person jury. As of today, his parents are still fighting for justice, and they have like a bunch of outreach programs. This case sparked nationwide conversations. This case and this trial was talked about more than the president election that was ongoing at that time. You heard more about this than the actual election, well, at least in my area. Yeah, it was huge. There were a bunch of celebrities that came out to protest, and even a Trayvon Martin Foundation in his name. Yeah, his mom is still fighting. She's eagerly trying to get laws passed. She's doing a lot. His dad as well. But yeah, this was a really sad and tragic case, and when I first heard about it, like, y'all, I was so sad. Like, I can't say that enough. Like, I was so sad just thinking about it. Like, he's another black boy gunned down for no reason. Like I mentioned earlier, if George would have just minded his business and let the police handle it, Trayvon would still be here to this day. Because if he was just going to the store to get a snack then he would have just been on his way. But another time had to take matters into their own hands. And I know you feel like he probably got off scot-free, but in the end, we all have to meet our maker, and you cannot escape him. So I pray that my Heavenly Father has mercy on his soul, regardless of what he did here in the physical realm. Because yeah, all of this could have just been avoided. I feel like he was just somebody that may have gotten a little trigger happy and used his community watch title and took it a little bit too far. Well, not even a little bit, a lot too far. And hopefully one day we'll get some justice for Trayvon, and if not in this lifetime, hopefully he'll, like I said, hopefully when we meet our maker, then justice will be served. But anyways, that is the story and the case of Trayvon Martin. Let me know your thoughts below. Yeah, let me know if you have any input on this case, and if I missed anything, let me know for sure in the comments. But I think I covered everything. That was a lot to take in, and I hope Trayvon is rested in peace, and I hope his soul is at peace. And yeah, I will be catching you guys in my next video. Ciao.